Welcome to this video on how to test if something is hidden with jQuery. In CSS you have two properties that could make an element hidden, and that's with the visibility property or the display property. So now we're going to test for both. I'm going to start by creating an element. We'll just do a div. We'll have an ID of test element, and we'll enter some blank styles in here. Do some sample text, and now we're ready to start with our jQuery. I already have the library included here at the bottom of the page, and since I included it after the element, you usually don't have to do the document ready function, but just to be on the safe side and for best practices, we'll start with the document ready. And now that'll wait for the document to completely load before we start altering our elements. So now I want to start with grabbing our object. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it might help if we did some script tags. Now we want to start with our object, and the object we want to get is the test element object. So now we've set obj equal to test element object. We'll set our visible property. Visible variable equal to true, and now we can start testing for the properties. Let's just do a quick test over here, and you can see that our element is in place. We have some sample text and we have nothing logging to the console just yet. If you can't get to the console, try Command Alt J on the Mac and Control Shift J on the PC, and now we'll start doing our tests for the properties. So I'm going to start by we'll start with the visibility property. So we'll say if the object's CSS visibility equals hidden, then we'll say visible equals false. So now we'll try that. We'll log it to the console to see what we get out. We'll just log the visible variable, and let's just see what happens when we don't have any styles in there. You can see that it's true, it is displaying, and everything looks fine there. Now let's just do visibility equals hidden, and now we should get false. So you don't have an element here, and we've got false down here in the console that we've logged out. So now what happens if we want to check for the display property to see if that's display none or display block? Well, that's simple. We'll just copy this if statement, and instead we'll do CSS display property, and we'll check for none. So if we get visibility is hidden or display is none, then we'll add false. We'll add false to the variable of visible, and we're just going to log out the variable of visible and see what we get. So now let's change the visibility to visible, and we should get true on this one. The element's showing, and we do get true down here in the console. So now let's do display, and we'll say none. On that one we should get the element is not displaying up here, and you see that the element's visibility is false. So now let's try block, and you see it's true, and we do have our element. Now let's do both. So even though it's visibility, the display is showing, the visibility is set to none, so now we should get false with no element showing, and we have no element and it is set to false. And that's all you have to do to test if something is hidden with jQuery.